Hello. Um, Been a while since I've hopped on and done a video. I was about to write a blog post and then I thought, nah, let's just say it. Like I've already been writing this morning and might just be easier to just go blah and just say everything that's on my mind and it'll be quicker, less time, and then I can get on with, the important things the rest of the day. Anyway, today's topic that I really I'm just feeling really strongly about bringing this to exploring this topic is about Asperger's syndrome and particularly how Asperger's manifests in women. Okay, so I will start this by saying that I recognize many traits of Asperger's in myself, and I know it is a part of how I express myself on the earth. Okay, so technically, I don't much like identifying as anything, but yeah, I do. I see it. Asperger's is a part of like how my brain works, and it's something that I've sort of swept under the carpet all my life, and it's not because of anything within me. It's just because of the time of when I grew up and the life experiences that I had. Because as a child, I knew full well that I didn't really know what Asperger's or autistic spectrum was at all. Although I did see it in action in a couple of other children around me. Um, Particularly, there was one experience which I think just highlights exactly what I'm talking about. Um, when I was about maybe 10 or 11 years old, and I just started going to attending an all girls school, and there was one girl, and obviously she was very autistic. She spoke and everything, but I remember she was renowned for, like, just running around the playground occasionally, like just totally disrupting the playground, screaming, get me off this planet, and screaming her head off. And clearly she was really distressed. And I used to watch this, and I could see it was really obvious to me. I could see it was actually, she wasn't really the problem. She was actually just really peaceful, just walking around in her own little world, talking to herself, whatever. And it was the other girls, the normal kids, who were teasing her, and they were actually intentionally trying to cause her to go off the show, so that then, they get some sort of a kick out of seeing this poor kid lose it and just have a complete spaz attack. I know that's not politically correct, but anyway, you get what I'm talking about. And yeah, and I remember as a young child just sort of going, oh, there's something sort of wrong with this situation. I could see, like, normality was pretty sociopathic, really, and there was something wrong with expressing the frustration of the pressures of society, and the way people, yeah, particularly kids can be so cruel and everything, and having to deal with that. And I remember making a very conscious decision, and this was at the age of 10 or 11. And I just thought to myself, well, I knew that this girl was going to be the only option was to put her into a special school. And I knew at that point that special school was like bad. And so I decided, well, I'm going to have to work out how to fit in. And yeah, so I just went about sort of doing my best. Occasionally I would just do the most outrageous things that, people, yeah, that I was, highly judged for. But I just kept learning and learning how to fit in with the rest of the world and make myself appear as normal as possible. Now, I've since discovered, after many, particularly women and females who identify with Asperger's, that this is called masking. And Yeah, so masking, it's just putting on a mask to fit in with the rest of the world, where really beneath that mask there's a whole world going on, like a world of where you're just trying to perceive what is happening on the outside. You're observing it. You see it for what it is. There's actually no disability in the mind. The mind works perfectly well. It's just the processing of not making sense of a world where it's more acceptable to hide the truth. And anyone who's Asperger's will get it, that what I'm saying, probably even non-Asperger's people, when I say that it's very, very common for people to sort of say one thing, but underneath they're actually thinking and feeling something completely different. And for when you're Asperger's, it's like you see that, um, what's the word? You just see that there's not a match up between the two. It's this yeah, there's and it's very frustrating, because for me, like, truth is truth, and if somebody says they're telling the truth, then okay, I'll believe them. But I don't anymore, because now I know, unless there is a marriage of that truth, on what is the hidden communication of the soul and what's coming out of their mouth, it's very easy to see it now. So I no longer take the words as the proof of truth. I put the whole thing together. And so because of that, and I'm sure it's the same with a lot of Asperger's women, that we do sort of become like these master analysts of the world, and people people are like. We become very good at studying and making sense of all of the world around us. So I've just got a couple of things here on this list here. Oh dear, I need glasses. Um, so yeah, in the past it was considered to be a very negative issue when I was growing up, and it was just, even when I went into teaching, can you believe it? I was attracted to teaching children with Asperger's, and I was awesome at it. I didn't know, but it's because, it's like takes one to know one. I just have such a natural empathy with these children. They were mainly males, and I had the occasional Asperger's female, and that it manifested very differently in the females. But with the males, I'm sure I know the reason why I was teaching mostly males is because the females do this masking thing where they learn how to just fit in with the world, and blend in with the mainstream society, whereas the males were more likely to sort of act out and become a behavioural issue. So they weren't as good as sort of controlling themselves. And so in the school I was in, it was designed for children with emotional behavioural disabilities. And so yeah, males were the ones who exhibited more overt behavioural issues. So anyway, I discovered that a real joy in working with these children, because I understood the workings of their minds, I understood their souls, and I discovered that, contrary to what the criteria for Asperger's would be, is that Asperger's people are actually incredibly intuitive and compassionate and empathetic. I found that these kids, yeah, they'd pick up on my energy very, very easily. They'd know, I didn't have to tell them what was happening in my private world, but I could tell that they very quickly, they could tell if I was in pain or something, and they would just gently, yeah, they become supportive. It was quite incredible. A beautiful sort of an environment. So what I observed with the males, and this is all out there already in sort of all the research and the discoveries that are coming out there. When it was in males, males are far more mathematical and scientific and logic oriented, whereas females are far more interested in things like humanities, the arts, mysticism, and are far much more intuitively oriented. So I don't want to say too much, but other than to say that, yeah, I totally see this in myself, and I wanted to put something out there which is talking about this. And I might just talk about how it relates to now. So I'm 53 years old. I was born in 1968. And at this point in my life, it's just probably maybe about maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I had a friend who sort of talked about it, and she said, "Oh, I see. I think." She said she saw Asperger's in herself, and she said, "I think I see it in you." And I was like, "Oh yeah, definitely." And because I know what it is. I've just have so much experience with Asperger's, and it would just very quickly, like I just sort of I got it. I was like, yeah, yeah, that's definitely part of how my brain, my that's a part of my makeup. It's only been a few years, and I'm just at the point now where I just feel it's important to just accept it, talk about it in order to raise the awareness, and it's really unlocked. It's unlocked something in me. It's not like a disability, and it's not something I'm trying to say, be like trendy and say, hey, I'm this, I'm that, and sort of fit in with some sort of a trend for putting this out there. It's just been very liberating. That's probably the best word to use. It's been very liberating to understand that I'm in a slightly smaller, atypical spectrum of people, and to accept many things about myself. One of them is I don't feel particularly comfortable with group situations. So now I'm just going, you know what? I don't have to force myself to be in group situations anymore. I used to drink alcohol to do that. Why should I do that? I don't want to drink alcohol. I don't really want to be in group situations, so don't do it. And oh my God, all my life felt like I had to do all of these things. And what else? What else? Just allowing I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, but I just allow myself to be natural, to be honest, and to go with those natural impulses, and to accept that. Oh yeah, my sensitivity. I'm incredibly super sensitive to sound and light in particular. Some people, and texture, like, yeah. So like, yeah, I have to take the tags off things, and I like to wear very loose, light clothing. But I also like pressure on me too, like when I'm in bed and everything. I just feel, yeah, I kind of like weight sitting on top of me. It seems to settle down my nervous system. So, and that's all classic autistic spectrum stuff. So I have learnt to honor these things in myself, and just no longer from the in my younger years I tried to I really tried to repress my sensitivity because I thought there was something wrong with it. And now it's just like, look, it is the way it is, and I manage what I can manage, and I just pray and hope for a world that has become much more sensitive to everybody, because it's a world that's mostly like, this is why I'm out here in the bush all the time, because you get you can't avoid motors and sounds like that, but it's a much better chance of just a much softer, more peaceful environment where it's just the sound of the wind and the birds and horses and all and so on. Anyway, enough said. This is long enough. There you have it. Asperger's in women, in older women. See ya.